And now we cross live to Glenarm for the points awarded to the Eurovision tonight from Marty McCauley.
No point. No point. For anyone watching this, the Eurovision Song Contest is on now. Anyone not from Europe, but doesn't necessarily preclude you from being a member of the Eurovision Song Contest. It's a mental, once a year song competition, loosely called song. It's very strange. Australia's been in it. Israel appears in it. It's just bizarre. It's mental.
It is rather strange indeed. If you're watching tonight, wherever you are watching in the world, let us know. Comment, like, and share. We'll put your name on screen. We will embarrass you, and it's your chance to get involved with the show, because it's. I don't know how you manage to keep on doing these. It has to be the most innovative show you've done in the past year and a week.
Are you talking to me?
I'm talking to you. This has to be one of the most innovative shows. And if you don't know what it's about, this is what it's about tonight. If you haven't guessed,
then and now, we're beating John Barrowman, or whatever his name is. Is it Michael Barrowman or whatever? What's his name? Who are you talking about? Oh, you talking about the guy from
Doctor Who? We're going back and forward.
Oh yes, past. We're going back in time to years gone past. Yes, I thought of this during the week, and I thought to myself, so I don't normally like doing tastings and not involving the people watching the show,
right?
That's kind of why I don't like doing this, bringing on the brand ambassadors when they're doing a launch to sit down and go, oh, isn't this wonderful, blah 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 blah. Oh, by the way, it's £300 and there's only fucking 74 bottles of it in the world. So so that's. But tonight, the only person that's going to get involved in the tasting other than myself is Justin tonight. So.
Lucky duck. I'm a lucky duck tonight.
You left here the other day, maybe 10 bottles of whiskey.
I know some of them are fabulous, actually. I mean, I've tried them already. They were great with mixers. They were great with a mixer.
I will choke you.
So listen, we've got to say hello to people tonight, because there's loads of people getting involved tonight. Evening, lads. A night to switch off the television. No, admit it turned a corner. Eurovision might be getting back to the days of ABBA and getting brilliant. The French entry, voila, makes me want to rejoin the European Union. If we haven't already left, have we left? I don't know. I'm confused about that.
Yeah, we're partially. There was one on there. The Netherlands entry was on, and I've sort of seen a bit of it. And the guy that was on singing, he's obviously of Nigerian descent or somewhere, and he was singing in whatever language it was from Africa, obviously where he's originally from. And I kind of thought for a second, I wonder if they let in Nigeria into the Eurovision, because it's not beyond them. They could have easily done that.
It's not beyond the realms of possibility.
But he's from the Netherlands. So
in Northern Ireland's actually using the withdrawal method. That's a good one. That's a good one. I won't put that on the screen because you'll know who it's from. It's from me. Okay. Gustav Robinson is saying good evening. Yeah. Helgamiga Algaweagle. Gustav, I just made that up. William McClanagan is watching from Island McGee. I could have sworn you'd be watching the Eurovision tonight, William. I thought we'd managed to avoid you. What you do, have a coffee to stay up late? Oh, no, that's the Belgians that have to have a coffee to stay up late. Tony Lavery, there's no comparison. Bush is better. What are we talking about? We don't want to get Zuckerberg. Yeah. No, we're not comparing. We're not comparing.
You see,
you've read the script wrong. Tony.
He's done what you normally do. Jump the gun. You try and finish stories while I'm halfway through them, and then I have to go. No, that's not right.
Tony. It's not comparing the red label with the black bush. We're actually comparing the black bush with the black bush tonight, and the red label with the red label. How are we doing it? Marty has a time machine out in his back garden, and he went back 60 years, and he got an old one, and then he's got a new one.
Yeah. If you're wondering what this is for, if some people watched last night, we were interviewing the Tennessee Whiskey Guild last night, and doing some chatting to them, because yesterday was International Tennessee Whiskey Day. So
They were pretty special last night as well, Marty, too.
They were nice. The peg leg porkers, fine. The peg leg porker. Whenever I told Justin there was a pit master barbecue guy coming on, he sees me. You know that Homer Simpson face? That was exactly the way Justin went.
I must admit, it was absolutely juicy as anything. I couldn't believe when I seen it. And the prices in his restaurants are about half the price of here. Do you know that?
Yeah, I know. I noticed. But his stuff looks awesome. So we'll have to get a wee run over to Tennessee and do the whiskey trail.
All right. I don't think we're allowed to fly the private jet this weather.
No, you'll have to get your boat out. You'll have to get the boat. boat and bike.
Yeah, we're going to need a bigger boat, actually. If we're going to go across the Atlantic. Although I did see somebody taking a Colvik Watson 23 across the Western Ocean, but I don't fancy it.
All right. I've absolutely zero clue what you just said there. I've no idea what you're on about. This happens to me frequently, by the way, people watching this show. Justin comes out with stuff all the time and seems to be under the impression I know what he's talking about. And normally, not a clue.
It might be too technical, but there you go. We'll keep it to whiskey. Julie Mason's saying hello. Sherman Wright is saying hello. Good evening.
Yes, Sherman.
He's got capitals on. I've got capitals on tonight too, for some reason. Eric van de Endien. Bonsoir, Belgique. You can
do Belgique.
You can do the noodle points tonight, Eric. Remember to comment, like, and share. I'm glad I'm dragging you away from Eurovision. Sherman Wright is saying evening, gents, in capitals again. Conor Ryan is saying evening all. It's one of the first nights you're on, and it's still kind of bright outside. Either that or excessive whiskey consumption makes you see in the dark. No, that was carrots. That was carrots.
Well, the thing is, Conor, this time last year we were still broadcasting and it was still in the light. You know,
that's true. Your guys win over Eurosong show every time. No, honestly, after this is over, watch us on YouTube, watch us on Facebook, but go and Google Voila, the French entry. It is absolutely fantastic. Mark says he's intrigued.
Yeah, you shall see.
Yes, you're intrigued. And you never know. You might get a chance to try these yourself if you're very, very good, and go over and buymeacoffee.com/Irish whiskey. Okay. You never know. You never know.
You never know your luck.
You never know your luck. Any turkeys on Eurovision? Yes, there is a couple, I believe. I think the Croatian ones were well worth a look. All right. That's code. Shane Follow is saying evening all. Irish whiskey review 12 points. We want 10 points. That's 10 points.
But they don't do. I don't know what they do anymore. It used to be 10 points. I think it's maybe 20 points you get now.
I know all Eastern European countries vote for Russia in case they get Crimea.
In case they get annexed.
Don't Crimea for me, Argentina. Something like that. Something like that. There you go. We'll be hitting up like Top Gear if we keep on like this, because I know they watch us in Argentina. They love Irish whiskey review in Argentina. They always like our Instagram posts. Thank you very much, Argentina, if you're watching.
Argentina has the biggest Irish population of a non-English speaking country in the world. So there you go.
All right. I thought only the Nazis escaped to there.
No, the Irish escaped there too.
Oh boy, we'll get struck off one day. But yes, I'll get Stephen Fry on the case. No, we better do this tonight. We better do this because I know you liked the intro earlier, but we'll do that.
It was okay, but this is the one. This is the one.
Okay. Oh, this is the one. There we go. What a show it is. There's nothing better than a show with
I love that one.
Good theme tune. It's This Week in Whiskey. It's our version of the news. And what's first tonight, Marty?
I'll put on the glasses, Justin, just to be sure. Now, the European Union has agreed to suspend the proposed doubling of tariffs on imported American whiskey. Now, that was due to come into effect on the 1st of June. So it's good that they left it right to the last minute. Now, we've talked about this numerous times before. The tariffs have caused huge decline in sales with a drop in Scotch, because there's retaliatory.
Listen,
There was
this at
retaliatory
the
tax.
last minute, and people they do
Yeah,
this at the
of course
last
they
minute,
do.
and people, and it doesn't help them. Actually, somebody was talking about that with us from one of the shows at one point. Were they? I think they were.
Yeah, they were talking about it. Ryan from Corsair was talking about how there was tax breaks in Tennessee, and they left it until the very last day to change the whole thing. So I mean, this is what governments do. They just piss people about, to be quite honest with you. But
yeah,
now there was a 30% drop in sales of Scotch whisky to the US. Now the tariffs, the retaliatory tariffs that the US had imposed on European Union and UK whisky, Scotch whisky and whatnot, was lifted back in March. But the 25% on American whiskies into the EU is still in place. Now that's total imports to the EU and the UK have been down 37 and 53% respectively. So US sales into the UK have down 53%. Now, as I say, the EU was going to double that to 50%. And that's just going to decimate it.
So what happens? It basically puts an ordinary bottle worth 50 quid up into the 150 quid price mark. Is that what he said? Something like that.
Well, put it like this: what happens is obviously you've got all your alcohol taxes and stuff as well. But I mean, if you're importing a bottle of whiskey and it's I don't know, £30 for you to buy, you add on your taxes at, for easy counting, we'll say £11. That's £41. But the import duty then puts another 50% of your £30 on it. So suddenly it's a £60 bottle of whiskey for what's essentially a fairly standard bottle, and nobody's going to pay that. I mean, it's just decimated, and all these tariffs and stuff that they bring in, it's just ridiculous, and it just genuinely hurts. The big guys will always be all right. These guys, it's not going to affect them too much. They've billions to work with. But the smaller guys, I mean, they've no chance of getting sales into the European Union or the UK. And we say this all the time. The whiskey world's not that big. It's a big, massive trade, multi-billion-pound industry, but it's not that big. It's not that hard for me to get in contact with, a head distiller in Tennessee or in Maryland or in, Texas or whatever. And normally they're quite willing to come on. They're always fairly chatty and amiable. And there's always seems to be quite a lot of camaraderie. And they're just trying to, where these guys are setting up industries and employment and new markets and experimenting, now they're trying to pull the rug out from below them. It just annoys me,
It almost seems like 100 years ago, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, and this is over the head of airplane tariffs. This is over the fact that the EU and the US were given subsidies to aircraft manufacturers. I mean, it's nothing to do with whiskey, but anyway. So hopefully they're starting to see it.
Well, if you're missing out on Eurovision, we've themed it Eurovision all tonight. France of Ireland over a barrel. There you go. Oh boy, I love it.
Well, this is the fact that Tullamore Dew have opened a cooperage. Now that's the first time in over 60 years, and two local guys. I'll just have to get the name right.
60 years, 60 years.
60 years since there was a cooperage.
That's nearly the difference between our two whiskey. Actually, our whiskies are that old. The difference between the two of them, isn't it? Yeah,
near enough. Dylan Herrelin and Corey Bracken. Now they're under the tutelage of a French guy. Right, I'm going to try this. Eugene Mon Vandenbosch.
I bet you the French guy is the one that looks like he's French with the moustache and the glasses. Is he? Yeah, he does.
That's him. Yeah. They're apprenticed to this guy who is over a decade in the trade, and they'll spend 4 years learning. But what is a vital trade for whiskey? You can't age whiskey without your barrels. Now, they're going to repair around 20 barrels a day or thereabouts, and it's reported that there's only 5 qualified coopers in the whole of Ireland and 4 apprentices. So, whenever you think, most of the coopering, a lot of it's done in Scotland and brought over. And having your own cooperage means that you, obviously, transportation costs are going to be down, and there should be a lot more of this. And it is a vital trade for the whole industry, as we're all aware. We know that.
It is. It's good to see keeping the craft traditions alive as well. Now, Wales always fancied itself as a separate country. I know it did. I know it did. So my money is in Wales to win tonight.
The Welsh. The Welsh.
Like
No.
that.
Yes. This is a new distillery that's been. There's 2 new distilleries have opened up in Wales this week. You have the Aber Falls, kicked off with their limited edition, this one, of 2,000 bottles. It's single malt and it's described as 100% Welsh whiskey. So it's using Welsh barley, rock filtered water from Aber Falls, aged in Wales and bottled on site. Now, the release consists of a mixed bag of casks, actually. American and European oak, Spanish sherry, virgin oak, and orange wine casks. 46% and £46 a bottle, all sold out straight away. So yeah. Now, the other distillery that opened this week is another Penderyn.
Oh, very nice indeed. Yes.
Yes. Now, this is in Clondudno, which if anyone who's not in any way au fait with Welsh, is spelled Llandudno. Sorry.
I didn't type that in because I can't spell it, but I think these stills are something to do with it, are they, Marty?
Yeah, Penderyn has a very a weird sort of still setup. It's what's called a Faraday still, and it's come from the great grandson of Michael Faraday. So they're opening. This is their second distillery, and they're actually going to be opening a third distillery in Swansea, probably next year. Now,
you rate Penderyn, but really,
I do like Penderyn because they do a lot of nice things. Now, I've got a nice bottle here, Justin. I'm going to let you see it. This is the bottle that started all of the Welsh whiskey revival off. This is Penderyn's first ever release. Now, this is a collectible bottle. It's not really one to open, and there's only I can't remember.
That's a pretty cool looking bottle, isn't it?
Yeah, so this was their very, very first release, and that was 20 years ago. So this is their original. I like the bottle. This is their their sort of latest design, that sort of Art Deco-esque bottle. And then I was deciding what I was going to have a wee tipple of tonight before we do any other tippling, and I'm going to do my favourite, my Dylan Thomas. My Dylan Thomas. I love my Dylan Thomas.
Very good. Very good. Mike, if you're not watching Eurovision tonight, remember to comment, like, and share. Like us on Facebook and on YouTube. Hit subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. If you've already subscribed, don't hit it again, because that means you unsubscribe, because I notice some people do that every week for some reasons, but you must be as technically minded as Marty is, basically. Yeah.
Just on the Welsh thing, some of the Welsh guys are sort of trying to head towards getting a PGA recognition, which I think is fair enough. They're wanting Welsh whiskey to be recognised the same way as Scotch and Irish whiskey. So it's fair play to them. Now, just another quick note: the Clondudno distillery, they're going to concentrate on doing the peated version of Penderyn. So they do peated whiskies as well. So yeah, good on them, and more power to their wee wheel.
Mark Kerr's actually spelt Penderyn for me. There he has. Yes. Mark, I only say that to make it part of the show, so as I can put Wales to win up. It's only part of the show. I can't actually copy and paste. Don't worry about it. Actually, were you going to say it now? You had something nice to say to Mark Kerr, didn't you? You did?
No, leave it. No, don't jump the gun. You're always jumping the gun.
Oh, that's on the notes. I don't write everything in the notes. You see, the notes are in the back of my lottery tickets. Look, they could be the winning lottery tickets, and my notes are on the back of it, you see. You think there's big production meetings, and we have 5 girls with clipboards that would kill you if you got it wrong, but we don't. There's just me and Marty, and that's it.
And we normally cobble this together. I come up with an idea during the week, and then what we do is about 10 minutes before we go on air, I go, right, hang on, I've got stuff written down here for the news that I've done today. So that's basically how this all comes about. So it's all that manic.
It's actually a lie, because Marty gave me a book to read this week, and let's face it, the book's this thick. I have to read this book for the next show. Like, how am I going to read
next week?
a 200-page book with it. Although Marty says there's lots of pictures in it, but I told the guy that wrote the book there's not enough pictures in it. He did laugh, actually. He did laugh.
He's a good guy. Now, this is basically a revival. This is the reopening of the Brora distillery.
Oh, no. You don't know what the caption is yet. The caption is Gareth Gates, WTF. Do you like that? Do you like the caption? Do you? It's Gates. It's the Gates of the distillery. Look, because I couldn't spell that either, Mark. I couldn't spell. How do you say that word, Marty?
What word?
Brora.
How do you say that? Brora. Brora.
Right.
Now, Brora is in Scotland has reopened after 38 years. So it was mothballed for 38 years.
Wow.
And on Wednesday, it was reported that they filled their first cask after 3 years of restoration, in which the still house was actually taken down and rebuilt exactly, and the 2 copper pot stills were refurbished. Now, you can't really see it. Build up that photo on full screen again, Justin.
I will do, yeah.
Because I like this.
Yeah,
I like the gates. You can sort of see in the middle gates there as they're open, but whenever they're closed, it's actually a Scottish wildcat, and that's going to be their sort of logo. And the wildcat gates they're called, which I think that's pretty cool. If you see it closed, it's quite nice. But this was one of the press release photos. Now, that picture, it shows the master distiller Stuart Bowman bringing down a cask. So they've started production. It's funny because they say this is going to be Diageo's small distillery. It's only going to produce 800,000 litres a year. Yeah, a mere minnow for them to play about with. Yeah. Now, this is part of a £35 million investment by Diageo, in which they're going to reopen Port Ellen on Islay, which is probably coming soon. It's supposed to be later this year, but who knows? With COVID, I suppose everything's all up in the air. But no, it's been a good week for people reopening things and things going.
It has indeed. It's good to see, actually. I always asked you about these mothballs distilleries. I bet you they regret knocking some of them down now.
I'm sure they do, especially getting rid of a lot of the old stock. They sell it all off the blenders and stuff. But there was an auction exclusively for old Broras about 2 weeks ago, and they went for quite a lot of money. So, as a handy hint, if you can get your hands on an old bottle of Port Ellen, you probably won't be on a winner. But yes, they've all went way up north.
Yeah. That's what Abernathy says. Port Ellen next. Yes, great minds think alike, Andrew.
Yeah. I see Mark Kerr has said he was asking if the other whiskey, saying they were the first Welsh whiskey, intimated that Penderyn isn't Welsh. No, what they've said is they are 100% Welsh, and that they're the first distillery in North Wales in about a century. So what they're putting is that they're only using Welsh barley and Welsh water and so on and so forth. I imagine Penderyn, to get started, have been buying in barley probably from England, I would have thought. So they're just trying to put out that we're 100% Welsh whiskey. So
okay, that's a bit of a terroir thing, really. You're splitting hairs there, really, aren't you?
It's a lot of people want to say that they're 100% Islay. Kilcoman does that. Springbank buy. They have an annual release where it's the local barley. But let's be honest, barley's not going to grow that well in Scotland just for climate conditions. There's no way Scotland could ever produce enough barley to supply the Scottish whisky industry. They have to buy it from other places.
Unless we've got global warming.
Oh, God. Right. You're going to bring in global warming. It's not if we're getting global warming. It's climate change. It's happening. There's no arguing that. The only thing is we'll end up getting colder because the Gulf Stream will piss off and head up to Greenland or somewhere.
Something like that. There. Now, I'm a cat person. We had the cats on last night at the Corsair Distillery. You can hear the podcast on Wednesday. The full interview with Ryan Schammel is out on Wednesday. And I think that the pussy reference went straight over his head like that there. But I think it's called Beaver in America. And we have a shaggy dog story now, don't we?
Yes. Grant's have brought in an expert and to nose the whiskey. This is Rocco, and Rocco's been brought in at the Girvan Distillery. He's a 1-year-old Cocker Spaniel, and he's being trained to help detect for off notes coming from casks in the warehouse. Now, I'd love to have his tasting notes. That'd be some crack. But I mean, why has this not been thought of before? I mean, a dog running around, dog's going to pick up off notes and casks and all that kind of stuff. Leaky, leaks that are about,
Well,
he'll pick up stuff.
They have people and dogs for Parkinson's, don't they? Isn't there dogs and people and cancer smelling dogs and tumor
cancer smelling dogs? A dog's sense of smell supposedly, I don't know how you judge this, but it's supposedly something between 40 and 50 times better than human beings. And a human's supposed to be able to smell something like a trillion differences in smells. So, they're able to detect these. We aren't conscious of a lot of this. But you imagine running around a distillery, running around a warehouse, and able to pick up. Now, why are you pre-jumping me?
I pressed the wrong button. I thought there was more doggy pictures there.
See, we got a bit of clipboard sheet of you out, tick, off, that's you sacked, gone.
I'd have blamed her for clicking the button forward.
Now, the Rocco the dog is being handled by Mr. Wolf. Mr. Whiff, sorry, that's the guy's name.
I think these names are made up. It's like the woman that used to give out the grants at the education board was Miss A. Grant. And you rung up, can I speak to Miss A. Grant? And they said, yes, she's here.
Yeah, this was called nominative determinism.
No, listen, is there a name for it?
Mm-hmm. Nominative determinism, where your name sort of forces you to get a job in that line of work.
Is that right? I'm going to change my name to Justin TV presenter or something like that. Or say transvestite TV, maybe not.
I was wondering where that was going to go. Thankfully, it didn't go as bad as I thought it was going to go.
Oh boy, there you go.
By the way, I've done a review. I got sent this week. Copeland Distillery. Yeah, the Copeland Distillery.
And those in the day didn't send me one either.
No,
they didn't send me one.
The Copeland Islands. Now, this is, hang on, because I need the glasses on to read this, because there's a whole pile of stuff. It's a whole blend of grain, virgin oak to recharred bourbon, double distilled malt to American bourbon barrel, triple distilled malt to Oloroso sherry, etc., etc. I've done a review of this. I'll post it up later on in the week. But the Copeland Islands, Justin, what do you like to tell everybody about the Copeland Islands? What's your fun fact?
Well, I went there once and I got exposure and was violently sick, and it's not like me to go. It was sunny and warm, but it was exposed, and I came home. Both me and my cousin had exposure.
No, that's not the story you tell all the tourists. What is it you tell the tourists about the Copeland?
Oh, the floating islands from Gulliver's Travels, the land of Lilliput. Is that the story you wanted? Yes. Yeah.
So anybody that's read Gulliver's Travels, the Copeland Islands are where Jonathan Swift got the inspiration for the floating islands, because if we look at it at certain times, there's a sort of mirage and you can see the sea in below the islands and stuff.
Basically, he had too much Bushmills and he ended up floating in Clyde.
Well, he probably too much Copeland. Too much Copeland. No, so I have a review of that coming up during the week.
Oh, here, listen, there's a couple of good suggestions here. Mark Kerr says, I think Rathlin needs a still. That's a good idea. Marty, you have a friend there. Could we borrow their house? Could we?
I'm sure Geraldine would let us kick up there, no problem.
Yeah, Mark Kerr, he says, Justin P. I would take that. I would take that. Thank you very much. You must know me and Barrowman have something in common. There you go. Peter Stewart, a dog's sense of smell is 10,000 times more accurate than ours. I think it is. I think it is something like that.
I put it like this. There's a whole different... It depends on what parameter you put it under, because there's actually parameters where our sense of smell is actually better in certain things than dogs. And it's very strange, but I'm not going to get into that because I don't know enough about it, to be honest.
Peter Gerbrace says, hope the dog does not get COVID.
He's got double jabbed. He's being controlled by Bill Gates.
All right. All right. Okay.
Melinda Gates is on the market. I'm going to have to dust myself up and hopefully, donate to the charity. Hello, Melinda. Where's the divorce settlement coming?
And Michael Matthews is saying Trump would disagree about climate change. Some people do. Let me see. I would err on the side of caution just in case, even though I live 1,000 feet above sea level. Had a glass of Port Ellen tasty stuff. We said that. We did the Port Ellen. Mark Kerr is saying, I was asking if the whiskey saying they were the first West whiskey imitated the. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, could be. And what else we're saying? Great choice, Marty. I think that was for your Dylan that you. Yeah.
Oh, but we love Dylan Thomas.
Yeah, and what's this here? I thought there was a copper working with Neff and whiskey in Ballina.
Yeah.
What was that
there
for?
Is.
I missed that one.
There is, but the Neffin distillery. I don't know what's going on down there. There's been a bit of a coup d'etat or something. I've read about it. I've sort of tried to avoid talking about the Neffin distillery.
Okay, all right. So better best forgotten then. Peter Stewart. Evening, gents. Finished my Bushmills rum cast last night. Having Yellow Spot 12-year-old tonight. William Peter, is having the Hinch.
Hinch 10-year-old. Peter, tell us what you thought of the Caribbean rum cast that you got. Let us know what you thought. And William, let us know about the Hinch. Tell us what you think of them.
Okay, good. Now, is it the time? Is it that time yet to show the next thing?
I'm sure you've already showed it. not to cast aspersions on you, just really leap forward.
Well, listen, you've got a time machine. You can jump forward and jump back.
I suppose I could. Now,
okay.
Yes, we've got a collaboration, a duet between Robert Zimmerman and Billy Layton. But Billy Layton's going to play the harmonica because let's be honest, Bob Dylan isn't very good at it. Aye.
Is it called this Heaven's Door?
This is Heaven's Door. Now, this is Bob Dylan's whiskey brand. It's a Tennessee whiskey. It's a Tennessee whiskey. It's Tennessee bourbon. And what this is let me just read because I can't remember. So Heaven's Door have teamed up with Redbreast, and it's produced a limited edition bourbon, which is finished in Redbreast casks. So this is the Master Distillers Edition, and it sees a partnership between Ryan, Christ, I can't even read my own writing, Ryan Perry of Heaven's Door and Billy Layton from Irish Distillers. Now this is going to retail for about $100. It's a 10-year-old whiskey, and then it's finished for 15 months in an ex-Redbreast cask. Now, as far as I know, that's the only time Redbreast have done casks. Off the top of my head, I didn't check that, but I think that's maybe the first time. And I tell you what, I'm really pleased about. It's nice that Billy Layton's getting this worldwide reputation because the man is a fabulous guy, and you've spelled his name wrong, even though I spelled it out for you. Leighton, not A.
Errors and missions accepted. Okay, there you go. My name gets spelled wrong all the time. I have to correct it because the computer changes itself some nights. There's my name spelled right. I'm gonna spell your name with an A in the middle of it. I'm going to change it when you see that there for badness. There you go. There's you. Sorry. Oh boy.
No.
I can change them, but sometimes they're typed in wrong. There you go. Yeah. Errors, admissions accepted. So James was telling us actually he thinks the Cooper at Neffin died last year. And
that's right, he did. They did. Remember, we actually talked about that. He died, and they released a special bottling to raise funds for his wife. That's right, James. That slipped my memory. But I know there's been stuff in the press about guys getting kicked off the board and all that kind of stuff. I'm not really sure what is going on down there, but
there you go.
I don't think it's good.
There's Peter Stewart. I had 2 bottles in the last month. Easy drinker. Which one are you talking about, Peter?
It's the Caribbean rum.
The Caribbean rum.
It's an easy enough drinker, yeah.
I believe it's for collectors. Very limited bottles.
That must be the one for. Who was it? What was the Cooper's name? Oh, it slipped my memory. I'm getting too old. That's the problem.
I'm getting too old. We get that many messages. There's about an average 100 messages a night, And
I know.
If you don't type what it is when it comes up, I can't remember what it's about because there were that many stories before we even get to the juicy part tonight.
Yeah.
Now, there you go.
we're going ahead. What are you going to say?
Connor Farrell says Irish finished Tennessee whiskey has my full attention.
Absolutely. That's the Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan is going to do good things. Now, a few weeks ago, I got myself a little treat because I started a job, and to be fair, the job I'm not actually 100% sure what I was actually doing, but I'm there. And I got a job, so I treated myself, and I bought myself a rather lovely bottle of Select Barrel Mortlach, 13-year-old. Lovely, 50%. So, distilled in 1990, bottled in 2003, selected for Wilson and Morgan Barrel Selection. I like Mortlach. I'm a big fan of Mortlach. The problem was when I opened it.
The cork's floating in that.
You broke up on me. What'd you say?
The cork's floating in that.
Exactly. This is a bit of a problem. If you buy some of these old bottles and you open them, now I've got a replacement cork in. Okay. Sometimes the cork does this. And what you have to do is find an alternative bottle to put it in. So, the bottle I've decided to put it in, wherever it's disappeared to, Mark Kerr. Thank you very much, sir. Mark engraved a bottle for us last year, and I never filled it. I filled the other one. The other one's got stuff in it. This hasn't. So what you need to do then is, unfortunately, I'm going fencing, Justin.
I've been fencing, by the way.
You've done everything. You're an international man of mystery.
I know I actually have. I fenced for a radio show once in Carrickfergus Castle. It was very, very, very tough, very energetic.
Yeah. Right.
And you aren't a real fencer unless in
keep breaking
sounds
up.
like you're going to the loo, by the way. You shouldn't do this on live internet. Doesn't sound like he's going to the loo. It does. do that in chat, please.
I'll decant that. What I'll do is I decant that in.
You're like Nehru at the White House. People are going to think I've been drinking. I haven't had a drop yet tonight.
Not yet. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to decant the Mortlach into this. So this is why it's always handy to have a little special bottle if you ever decide to do that kind of thing. And Mortlach, I'm a big fan of Mortlach.
Mark Curris, I feel it's. Yeah, I hope I don't have to go to the bathroom. Signal's very bad tonight, Marty. Can you hear us all right? Can you?
You sort of break up every so often, but I can sort of hear you.
All right. So listen, we've only got about 20 minutes left tonight, and we've got about 4 whiskies to try. That means we've got a minute to do each of them in. This is what people are saying tonight. Roseanne Foster is the tears are tripping out of her there. Yeah.
Good.
William McLennan is saying, just looks wrong on screen. Yeah, it does look wrong on screen.
I can't do it up here. Otherwise, it'd spill it all over the place.
Marty is very good at pouring into miniatures. Roseanne Foster says, I can't stop laughing. Don't report us, Roseanne. Michael Masters, a funnel would be advised. No, Marty can pour it without spilling it.
No problem.
He's brilliant.
When I used to smoke many moons ago, I'm off the cigarettes. I must be off cigarettes about 11, 12 years now. I could sit and roll a cigarette. I could do it drunk, in the dark, in the pouring rain, and it's that kind of hand-eye coordination. I could do that, so I can pour stuff into a bottle, no problem.
Okay, now what's first tonight? This is really good tonight, folks. This is the best thing he's done in over a year and a week.
Aye, that's just because you got a lot of free whiskey, get. And a free steak the other night, by the way.
The steak was delicious.
That is delicious. Glenarm Castle to Shorthorn beef. The cows are just out the front here. I can see them, and it's aged in a Himalayan salt house. And the butcher does a great job, and the stuff is great. It's great. Now, oh my little funny. When the thing about whiskey, one of the things that people really love about it is the sort of sense of place and that sort of timeless quality to it. It's the age. It gives it a sort of a place and a history, and you're buying it. That's why Aberfoyle's come out with we're 100% Welsh, because they want to give you that sense of place. And there's no other spirit, possibly rum, that does that. But whiskey, it carries a bit of kudos with it that gives it sort of a bit more of a thing. Now, you can fairly easily pick up these kinds of bottles. Okay, they're not particularly expensive, but this is a bottle of Black Bush from back in the day. Okay, I think this is about 1990s, 1980s bottle.
Okay.
Off the top of my head, I can't remember actually. I have it on the shelf. And you can pick these up at auction. They're not particularly dear, but you're going to have to spend a bit of money on them. But what I want to do is, a few weeks ago we had Grace O'Reilly from Waterford on. One of my favourite interviews. She's an absolutely fabulous girl. And Waterford are doing this about barley, and that barley has been produced for yield. It's a bit like other foodstuffs. Everything's sort of gauged on how much of it you produce, and the quality has. They say the quality has declined over a period of time. I'm always a little bit skeptical of these kind of things, if I'm honest. I there's this automatic thing where you turn around and say, "Oh, everything was better back in the day." I mean, they've been saying this for hundreds of years, that back in the day, everything was always better. And I always kind of think, we've never had it so good. But with whiskey, we can do a very, very simple test. It's easy. Get your hands on a bottle of Black Bush. Justin, grab one of the many samples that I sent you the other day and pour yourself a wee drop.
So I'm just going to grab I'm grabbing the old one first. Okay.
Grab the old one.
Okay. And that was in the miniature bottle of.
It's the one that I see you've drunk half of it. So
no, you didn't fill it full. It says old on it. Okay.
All right, call me tight now. Call me tight. Just in front of everybody. Just say that I'm tight. Go on ahead.
Okay. So I'm pouring this in. So this is it going in, right?
Right.
I'm not going to pour it all in. Okay.
Now, very remiss of me. I've left my bottle of Black Bush sitting over here. Give me 1 second. Fill in for me. Fill in for us, Justin. Fill in for us.
Now, don't forget to comment, like, and share. And what you need to do is follow us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Hit subscribe. And remember, www.buymeacoffee.com/Irish whiskey. Become a member. It's £40 for a year. That gets you on the trip when we finally get to go on the trip. And it gets you access to other special things as well. So
back again.
He's back in the room.
The reason I forgot, because there's pretty much nothing left on it. I had a little drink last night, and that was the one that I used. I love Black Bush, by the way, just for you know. Now, we have old Black Bush there, and new Black Bush here.
Oh, I'll pour the other one as well. Okay. Yeah.
Just get your new one.
Get my new one. I want to put them in different glasses so as I know. Okay.
Okay. Now, what you're doing here is, now Bushmills is obviously Black Bush is obviously a blend, and one of the things that they talk about is that Black Bush, with blends certainly, is that it's this, they can get consistency of product. It gives them a bit more of a palette to paint with, if you like, and this is always the thing. Now, these, nominally speaking, are the same product. Okay? That's the point. When they put on 1608 on the bottle and, you know, hark back to this historic thing, and they'll say it on all of these, famous since 1721 or whatever they put on it, because that's not what they do. Now, Justin, knows those and tell me that they're the same product.
If I hadn't seen you pour them from the bottle, if I hadn't written on the bottle, and if I hadn't already tried them, I would say they're different whiskies.
They're totally different. Now the old one, has a much more rounded, deeper nose, without question. Correct?
The newer's fruitier.
The New Year's much fruitier, it's much fresher. And don't get confused, folks. If you're doing this and thinking, oh, it's went off, it's a bit stale. It's not. It hasn't. That bottle is exactly the same as it was whenever it was put in. That bottle, there's a little bit of markage on the bottom of the label. But now, this will have been through pretty much the same stills, aged in similar casks. Okay, it's a sherry cask finish, but you tell me that those are the same whiskies. They're not.
I can't. I want you to explain it to me. How are they so different?
Well, there's a whole pile of different factors. Is the blend slightly different? Is the cask different? Is the quality of the barley not as good as it used to be? It's hard to know. But this is something that is different because there isn't. They're always told about blends that it gives people an ability to be consistent. This is obviously decades apart, but they're not the same. They're nowhere near the same. They smell like two totally different products. Okay?
Okay.
Now, go for a taste. Go for the old one first. Nice round mouthfeel. There's a sweetness there, but it's a nice, smooth sweetness. Nice, not sharp. It's not overly sweet. It hasn't got any harshness in the mouth. It's got a very sort of cooked plum flavour. Correct?
Yes. Now hold on a minute here. This when I was a wee boy. You know when you were a wee boy and you tried beer and you didn't like it, and now when you drink beer, you can tell one beer from the other, and you do like it, right? Well, that there reminds me of being a wee boy and trying my grandma's whiskey, and thinking, "Ooh, that's alcohol. That's powerful stuff. That'll warm your cockles, right?"
Yeah.
That there tastes like whiskey. Used to taste like. Now I'm going to try the new one now. Right?
Try the new one.
I've got to try the new one. I've got to do it.
Now, first thing you notice, it's much sweeter. Much sweeter. Correct?
Gee, I'm confused. Honestly,
totally different.
Is that sweetness that's killing the sharpness? Is that what's killing the sharpness? The warmth you get.
What I think that there's probably a whole pile of factors that have happened over a period of time. That it's as people's palates have become sweeter. People prefer sweeter stuff these days. Okay, we just do. We've been kind of conditioned to like sweetness, right? But whether that's a factor of is the quality of casks not as good as it used to be? Because people don't drink sherry anymore. You know, there's very, very, very little sherry drunk. You know, used to be lots of people had a sherry in the afternoon.
This is all also sherry cask it's supposed to be, isn't it?
Yeah. So is the quality of the casks having an effect? Well, probably. Is the quality of the barley having an effect? Well, probably. Is it the fact that there's a different blender? Well, probably. Is the distillation slightly different or different? Well, probably. But all of these factors basically are showing you that over a period of time, these become totally different products. Totally different. So whenever they put on the label 1608, anyone trying to tell me that something from 1608 is in any way similar to something that's bottled today, it's just crazy. It's bizarre.
Trevor Watson has asked a question. Which one do you like best, old or new? Now,
out of these two, I'm going to go with the old one, if I'm honest. I'd go with the old one.
The old one I wouldn't put Coke in. The old one, I wouldn't put Coke Zero in. I would never do that. The old one, I wouldn't do that, right? I could probably drink it without any water in it, the old one. On the nose, it smells fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I mean, it's deep fantastic.
Oh, now, bearing in mind that Black Bush is my go-to everyday whiskey. I love Black Bush. For me, Black Bush is a 10 out of 10. It slaps everything else, right? I think it's just amazing. But the difference between... Now, if you play with it enough, and I've done this a few times, I did a little bit of it last night, there are elements that are... You pick up a sort of signature, a character of the spirit. And that's the bit that's carrying on. But they're totally different. Now, just been asked, is there a difference in ABV? No. A lot of the spirit from the past would have had 70 proof on it, and it would have been slightly less than 40% ABV. In many cases, not all the time. A lot of them, some of them were a bit higher strength. Now, I have some old white label Bush. I have a very collectible old white label Bush. This one's probably, I think that's 1950s, if memory serves right.
Not really for opening.
It's not, not to say I wouldn't open it, but I have it there just on the off chance. But this is just Bushmills. Now, you think that's a big change? Wait till you try this now, Justin.
No. This is going to frighten you, folks. This is going to absolutely scare the bejesus out of you, because I don't even need labels on the bottles to tell the difference with this one.
No.
Okay? This is how scary this gets. This is getting scary.
No.
It's frightening.
Justin, I've that many bottles around me. I can't see where the hell I've put my Johnny Walker in.
Go and find it. Go and find
it.
it.
Give me 2 seconds.
Go and find it. This is what we're looking for now. He's looking for the Johnny Walker Red Label. Now, this has been the world's best-selling whiskey since after the Second World War. So it's a pretty impressive bottle. Okay, so and we do have an original. There we have an original. How old's the original of this Red Label?
Those bottles there, that bottle, the small one, is I think it's kind of hard to judge with some of the Johnny Walkers, but I think it's sort of mid-1960s, which makes that bottle, 35, 55, 60 years old. Thereabouts. Now, this is one of the best things about whiskey, okay? Anybody who knows me knows I'm a real sentimentalist. I that's why I love Dylan Thomas. I love his poetry and stuff. If you think about this bottle, this is from the 1960s. You know, this was being bottled when the Beatles were in the charts. The whiskey that's in this, some of it will probably be, I don't know, say maybe 10-year-old whiskey, whatever age it is. Say it's 10 years old, which means then that the barley would have been grown probably the year before, but by the time it's malted and all that kind of stuff. The farmer who planted the seeds that made this whiskey probably did it in the 1950s, right? Okay. So the 1950s, I mean, think about that. All that age and heritage and the barley that went into the ground back then. Now, Johnny Walker's the best-selling Scotch in the world. And Scotch has this reputation of being peated. Oh, you know, anybody that doesn't really drink, I don't drink Scotch whiskey because it's too heavily peated. Now, same again, Justin. A little bit of Johnny Walker, modern. If anyone watched my review of Johnny Walker during the week, Johnny Walker, everyone's an iconoclast. Everyone wants to knock the big guys. There's not integrity bottlings and all this nonsense. There's a reason Johnny Walker sells lots of stuff. It's as cheap as chips, and it's good quality. Right? Don't tell me that it's not, because they have 35 distilleries to pick and choose from. It's going to be good.
And what price is it a bottle that as well? Is that more expensive than the Bushmills or less?
I bought that bottle. That bottle cost me £14. Right?
So that's cheap, a lot cheaper. That's
Don't
25.
never ever ever never knock anybody that's drinking Johnny Walker Red Label. I had one guy comment and said, "Oh, it's got too many or colorant in it."
Somebody said that the other night. That's right.
Hang on. It's £14. Today it was on sale. I checked it today. Today it's on sale in one of the supermarkets for 16 quid. Right? Now, as Irish stuff is heading. Somebody tried to tell me a while back that Redbreast 10-year-old cask strength at €100 was good value. I'm sorry. Come on, guys. We're living in a very strange time. Don't get me wrong. I understand you can have to pay a premium for quality stuff. But go to Scotland and tell someone that they're going to pay £100 for a 10-year-old Scotch whisky. They would hit you with a bottle. Now, bear in mind, this is the most popular whisky, and this was the most popular Scotch whisky in the world when this was bottled. Okay? Now,
the difference is even more pronounced on the nose in this.
It's just totally different. Totally different. This is where the reputation of Scotch being peated come from. There's a little bit of peat.
There is.
In the modern one. In the modern one, there's a little bit of peat. You can pick up a tiny little bit of peat.
Well, I can pick up a little bit of peat in both of them, I think.
Yeah, you're not picking up a little bit in the second one, Justin. In the old one, you're picking up a lot of peat. It's a much, much more phenolic, much more rubbery, much more medicinal. It's more like an Isle of Scotch. It's got huge phenolic elements to it. Totally different. There's lots of, if you were buying that today, you'd be thinking the complexity of flavors and taste in that. And now, I'm not saying for a second that the new one is bad and that the old one's the best in the world. I'm not. What I'm saying is they're totally different. It's not even close.
I'm sorry, but I feel like Jeremy Clarkson with the two Mercedeses that look the same, and one the body panels bend on, and the other one they don't.
Mm-hmm.
They're both good. These are both good,
but
the difference is palpable. It's even greater than the Blackbush.
It's totally different. Totally different.
I can't even fathom it. And again, if somebody had sold me a bottle of that, right, that old stuff, if somebody sold me a bottle of that old stuff and I'd cracked it open and I'd tried it and I had Red Label in the house and I tried them both, I would either think one or the other one was a fake. You would think that, wouldn't you?
You would. And to be honest, there's a couple of notes in that I'm probably not that keen on. And as you well know, I don't have a sweet tooth, okay? I don't have a sweet tooth. I don't like overly sweet things. This is quite sweet. This isn't. There's very, very little sweetness in this. But there's still a couple of notes in it that I would be indifferent to. But the difference in taste between what is the best-selling and has been for decades the best-selling Scotch in the world, and the reason it's a blend, don't forget, the reason it's a blend is to try and get consistency of product. Ta-da!
Like, you know when you're a wee boy and you used to go over to Scotland and you used to go into a bar?
Mm-hmm. That sounds like the start of a joke.
This is what bars in Scotland used to smell like.
That's it.
The old one is what bars in Scotland used to smell like. And I used to think it was stale smoke, but it's not. It's good whiskey.
Put it like this. The reputation of Scotch always being peated is based on this. I have no doubt about that, because most Scotches are not peated. The majority of Scotch is not peated. I know this comes as a surprise to anybody who's not particularly familiar with whiskey, but it's not.
I can get a smokiness of both of them, but you can actually smell the caramel and the sweetness of that coming off. You can smell it.
It's that burnt toffee. It's got it's like burnt toffee. There is some sulfury notes on it. There's a bit of sort of medicinal sulfury texture on it. But now
this is like Coke and Pepsi, Coke and Pepsi, Coke and Pepsi, Coke and Pepsi.
This is an old bottle of Gold Label from the old.
That was one of the £5,000 bottles there for a minute.
Mark. No, this is heading that way, but it's not one of them yet. But no, this is Gold Label from the old John's Lane distillery. As I say, I haven't opened this obviously because I can't afford to these days.
Listen, William McLaren is saying could it be the blender has changed? Obviously, the blender has changed, but
the thing about it is, don't forget, the blender changing has to still meet the same customers.
But they have agronomists and scientists testing the stuff now, and they could make it exactly the same if they wanted to.
They probably could. I mean, Diageo, let's not forget, have interests in probably a quarter, I don't know, probably heading towards a half the distilleries in Scotland.
Right, I'm going to try something here before we go.
Okay.
Right? And you're probably thinking of Philistine.
Philistine. No, you're not. It's perfectly right. I did the same myself the other night.
Did you?
No,
you didn't tell me to try that off screen or type it into
I did it a little bit more scientifically. I had a little bit in at a time. The old one you'll taste, the new one you won't.
Correct. That's what we're going to say. The old one I taste, and the old one I don't. I've turned the old.
Turn the new. You've done a regression. You've done one of these past life regressions.
Hold on. I'm writing the third book of the Bible here. I'm writing the third book of the Bible, the third testament of the Bible here. That's unbelievable.
But it is. It's totally different. Now, if you don't like peated whiskies, you could probably still drink this. If you don't like peated whiskies, don't go near anything, I guess. Just don't. Because it'll totally... the phenols and stuff just punch through on it. But there's a rounded flavour to this, totally different. Totally different.
I'm trying it with the old and new Black Bush. I have to try it with that. Let's see if it makes any difference with it. It doesn't work doing it with that.
No, it's not the same at all.
Doesn't work. Old and new Black Bush don't mix. Great.
I will just say that this old white label, I prefer today's white label to this. I just don't actually have a bottle of the new white label.
Well, Michael Matthews is saying it's the same story with big business. The bean counters start calling the shots.
I have a slightly different take on this. People's taste has become much sweeter. People prefer sweeter things than they used to, and I think there's probably been very subtle changes building up over a period of time. The Buddhists call it karma. Everybody thinks karma is, you do good stuff happens to you. That's not actually at all. Karma is this sort of thing. It's just called action, and as things sort of change. And I think things have just slightly changed little bit by little bit, and people have just got used to it. But these two are nothing like each other. Zero. Now, what I'm going to tell you is, if anybody wants to check these out, I have a number of quarter bottles. And if anybody wants to do that, if you want to get in touch with me, we'll get something sorted out, and we can maybe sell them off. They're not very expensive, folks. Okay, just to let you know, they'll be extremely reasonable. But whenever I'm saying about this, the difference in quality, the difference in taste, I'm not necessarily quality, because this is still a decent quality whiskey, but it's totally different.
Yeah, the difference is pronounced. I mean, it would be interesting to see if we could ever get our hands on other old and new stuff to compare them, because this will stick in my memory as the most pronounced thing that we have done in the past 375 days of the Irish Whiskey Review. That is one of the most incredible things I've ever experienced in my life. That.
Well, I'll tell you now, the difference between these old products and the new ones, it's good to be able to do that and have that comparison. And if you sit with it long enough, you sit with it a while, you begin to pick up on little things that are similar. You know, I know it doesn't sound like it, but it just seems there are little signature traces always come through. But it is just different. It's just different, you know.
Unbelievable. What a show tonight, folks. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Remember to comment, like, and share. Get in touch with Marty if you're interested. And listen, just unbelievable that comparing then and now, comparing the old red label with the new red label. Absolutely unbelievable. Totally unbelievable. And comparing the new Black Bush with the old Black Bush. Absolutely unbelievable.
As I say, the Johnny Walker stuff we have, I have some quarter bottles, not half bottles, quarter bottles. And folks, if you're interested, get in touch, and I promise you they're not very expensive. if you want one, you can have them.
Unbelievable. Trevor Watson thanking us. Julie Mason saying fascinating show. Mark Kerr saying I thought the job of the blender was to keep it the same. Yes.
You try it and see.
Yeah, you try it and see. Stanley Sung saying thank you. William saying great guys, thank you very much. Michael Matthews, great show, lads, well done. Darren Barney Milligan saying intriguing show as always. Yes, they only just get better. Another fantastic one, guys, and James Key saying the same as well. Thanks, guys. And Peter Stewart saying thank you for the info on the comparison of then and now. This has been Irish Whiskey Review. I've been Justin McCartney. Marty's been Marty McCauley. Catch us again next
for
week,
most of it.
10 p.m. Well, actually, we've been who we say we are, but Black Bush and Red Label haven't been who they say they are, really, have they?
Well, if the transitions, Justin, they've transitioned.
They've transitioned. I know that's it. What it is Scotland and Northern Ireland have got a parliament again, and that's what the problem is.
Who knows?
Yeah. Russ Gads, thanks. Great. Exactly the same time as an old against the new rum. Yes, probably the same. You can't get McKibbins anymore. They aren't making it anymore. It's totally different. Cracking it just isn't sort of half as good as it, but it'll have to do, folks. Good night. And well, Sláinte, bottoms up. Cheers. Chin, whatever it is.
Chin.
Good night. All right. Take it easy.
All right, guys.
Bye-bye.